So we're here today at the fantastic Woodland View Fishery for the Midweek Open. So hand goes in the draw bag, a peg that I've sat on a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully I can put it right today. After a slow start, I'm now starting to put a weight of fish together. And if you want to see how I've got on in this live match, continue watching. Drawn peg 30 on front deans. I was on this peg a few weeks ago. It's not a desired area of the lake, but we're going to set up to fish casters long and short, up and down, in the edge for some carp a bit later on. Fishing for probably 100 to 120 pounds, so not a massive weight. When I was here before, I caught just shy of 100 pounds. Had a nice match fishing in the lake, but then struggled to catch any carp later on in the session, and hopefully I can put that right today. That's us. So I'm going to fill my pot up with a few fishery micro pellets, going in line with my mark on the top kit, and we're going to try and catch, if my pole doesn't clatter me, like a silly carp to start us off. But I'm just going to ship into the lake now. I've fed those few pellets just so I can gauge where I'm going with my caster. So picking up my catapult, got a nice bit of dark water just where we're going to be fishing into the lake. It's a little bit short. Just go again. Yeah, that's nice. Just going to break off that number 3 section. And so starting a match, say just starting short, can be a nice way, instead of just going straight on like a caster shallow line or fishing into the lake that to me normally wants a bit of building. There's normally like a carp sitting either in the edge or on a short line here. And even if we don't get one, it's just giving it a little bit of time for our long line to settle properly. And a bit of bait in my swim as opposed to going straight out there and clattering them. So we're just going to give this 5 more minutes, and if we haven't got one, we will ship into the lake. But the amount of times I've started on this line and had like a 8-10 pound carp, and then that's your only bite you have, but it's a nice start to the match. But you can be suckered into, as I say, getting loads of phantom bites and liners and stuff and sitting there and try and work it out, but it's just worth that quick initial look and then going further into the lake. There we go. Nice clean bite, little skimmer. So it gets us off the mark, not the species we wanted, but we'll plop him in and we'll just repeat at that. So 6 mil expander, I've got some 4 mils as well there, but a great big 6 mil expander. Micro pellets in that medium flexi. Tap those in, pick up my catapult, casters in the pouch. I'm just going to do that twice. The only thing I don't like on this peg, apart from it being a poor peg, is the fact I can't see what's going on to me right. So opposite, everyone started either on a top kit in front of them or in the edge. And a couple of people have hooked an F1 and one chap's playing a carp now. So definitely seems the right place to start our match off. But I'm just going to give it literally 2 minutes and then ship into the lake. Because I think that you've got like a 15-minute window to catch one, and then after that it's done. That's a little F1, so he's under control. Few casters again. Fishing nice balanced gear as well, so if we do hook a big carp as well, we can still get him out. The F1s are lively. And when I'm playing him on a top kit, obviously sometimes they go absolutely mental and do trash your line, but trying to play it at like a 2 o'clock or 10 o'clock angle so he's not going directly over the top of where you're fishing. Oh, and that's one of those, I just told him off. if he allows me to. One of those strange looking, like fully scaled F1s. So I'll just plop him into the net. And I am going to just give that one famous look in. So just repeating what we're doing, tapping those micros in, picking up a few casters, pouching those in, and then we're just going to reflick that rig in. Try not to get it on that bit of grass that's on the water. And then gently down, like so. Trying to keep a nice straight back as well. That's the only trouble when you're fishing a top kit, you end up leaning further and further and pulling your lower back. Nice clean bite. Skimmer on. Little jumpy skimmer. Thought those were what giving me those little dinks and knocks and bits and bobs. And that was just on a smaller expander. Now I'm looking around and no one, I know we're early days, but no one is catching, so I am just gonna eat my words a little bit and just have another look on that short line. See if we can catch some of these skimmers early before dropping into the lake. Might just give us a bit of a longer catching window in the lake. A few casters there. Just removing that bit of slime off the line. Just going to flick him in again. Nice straight back. Waiting for it to straighten up and then down we go. Rig's sitting nice now with that back shot just in the water. The skimmer again. Two to the pound bracket. So not setting the world on fire, but I just want a few more of those smaller expanders just for them skimmers. So green 4mm expander on. Grabbing my 2mm again. Tapping those in. Let my rig do whatever. Try not to feed a pouch full of micro pellets. Casters in the pouch. Into the lake we go. And then we'll just reset at that. Right, we're going to ship into the lake now, where we've just been firing those casters. Because we've obviously had a little skimmer to be caught on that top kit line, but not overly the species we're after. And there's just a few bubbles starting to come up into the lake as well. I always like to feed my casters a little bit shorter to start with, and I can fish off the back of them where those skimmers seem to sit. And I've got like that full section behind me, just because I'm fishing long kits on the bottom just because of the depth of water, and that I've got like an extra length of elastic if I do hook a better fish. And I've got some short kits for shallow fishing as normal. So just fishing like a wormhead over my casters. Just got a couple of rigs set up, one heavy, one light. It is towing through a little bit, even though there is like next to no wind on the water. Just gauging myself time-wise. Little indication off a small fish. I'm just going to flick that wormhead just past my feed again. Pick up a pouch full of casters. Feed them just short of me rig. Oh, a carp's just swirled in them as well. I think he was just mooching through and spooked him more than he's eating them. Rig's sitting lovely. And there we go. Little skimmer again, I think. Yeah. Let's move my catapult out of the way. Oh, just caught in the net. And then we'll just grab another piece of worm. So just hooking him in the head and just where his band-aid is. Just going to nip him off on that band-aid piece. And then we'll just repeat at that. So flicking my rig into the lake. Picking my catapult up again. Some casters. Just shy of my float. With the bulk of the casters, shall we say. Just that swirling wind. Oh, massive lift bite. Little skimmer again, a few casters in the lake. Might even be a roach. Smaller skimmer still. Don't you just say that when he snaffles your worm every single time? Ain't made of worms. That one's like a massive anaconda. So just hooking him nicely through the head, nipping it off on that band-aid, but we want that tail. We can't have him go in the lake, can we? And then we're just gonna ship back out. Flicking that rig through. Just fishing a 0.4 slim carbon in 5 foot of water. Few casters. Nice. And then just like before, just feeling for some more casters, putting them in my pouch ready. And I say when I do hook one, I can feed me peg and there should be one there waiting for me next time. The wind's just started to get up, which is nasty. Just about see me float, it's dotted right down with that back shot. And I probably end up feeding more regularly when you're not catching, try and pull some fish into your peg. Lift bite then. So I've got my casters there already. Jumping skimmer comes out, that's a better stamp one. And the wind's doing a strange thing. On the lake behind me, it's blowing from my right to my left, and then on our lake, it started blowing in our face. I don't know how that makes sense. So that skimmer's just nodding through. And that red slip doing its work. That's the sort of stamp skimmer we're after, or bigger. Click on the clicker. Worms sound at that, which is what we like. And out we go again. Flicking that rig through. I'm just going to come back into the bulk of my feed there because they are bubbling up. Right over my feed, just see if there's a better stamp one sitting there. And that time I allowed for the wind and there was no wind. But that's why it's like nice that I can fish like a metre to 1.5 metres. Past my feed, short my feed, left and right of my feed as well. Yeah, straight away, that was nice. Just chipping away with these skimmers for now. Casters again. Nice. And what I like to do is I just have like a household sponge that you do your dishes with and just squeeze the sponge into the water and just take off any excess water. Just so I can pick my casters up nice. Yeah, he's gone straight back in opposite and he's had one shallow, which is saying to me that I do need to drop shallow, so I'll just give this 10 seconds. If I don't get one, I'm going to come back in and pick up a shallow rig. So a few casters in, and in we come. Taking that worm head off, we're saving for later. Where we're going to start. So I've got some 0.1s and some 0.2s set up, dibbers, with the banded caster. Nice dark caster in the band. Rolled him into shape and say we're fishing about 2 foot deep there. Red slick in his short kit. Just go out with that. Feed a few casters again and hopefully we get one. Oh, first put in, there we go, that's what we want. First put in, first indication, and we've got an F1 on the end of it. So when he's out my peg, I'll just pick my catapult back up. And just prep ready for that next one. So a few casters in my peg. Shipping the back nice and steady. It's one of those big Wise F1s, I think, that just walks around your peg. And if you ship him back quick, it'll just pull the hook out. So I'm just playing this game. In fact, I'm just going to break off on that number 3 so I can keep it nice and low. Oh, it's got a massive tail on him, that's why. It's like a fantaily one. Strange looking thing. No wonder he put him a good account for himself. Look at the tail on him. Great big fantail. So just picking a nice dark caster out again. That one's a little bit bigger, so just rolling it on that super soft latex band in the middle of the caster, putting our pole together again, picking up a few casters. I'm just going to feed those into the lake, a couple of clicks on our clicker, and then out we go ready for the next one. So we're not going to slap it or anything to start with, just going to leave it pretty static, I think. Indication straight away then. A few casters in the pouch there, shallower they are. A few casters again. Yeah, so like 3 really quick line bites. There's no point staying at that deeper depth when they're clearly telling me that they're shallower in the lake. Just put that to one side. What's that? So that was 6, 12, 18. So I was fishing at 2 foot, and then I'm just gonna grab an 18-inch one. I weren't happy how my rig was sitting there as well, so I've just grabbed a 0.2 as opposed to a 0.1. Just felt like they were bashing it about a little bit too much. A few casters in again. Flopping that rig in. I'm going for less casters but more regularly. When we're shallow fishing, indication again there. Loads of indications. I've got a jigger set up as well. Yeah, I'm going to need a rig shallower still. So we've got one set 12 inches deep now, just a 0.2. Banded caster on again. It is nice that they're actually wanting to feed shallow, because that hasn't been the case at all the last few weeks. So out we go again. So only fishing 12 inches deep now. Still missing bites. There we go. Oh, skimmer. Skimmer 12 inches deep. So he's out my peg. Pick that catapult back up. A few casters in again, prep for that next one. Red slick doing its thing. Or skimmer. So we've been fishing for an hour now, and it's been an extremely slow start. Caught a few skimmers, and I think one F1 on a top kit to start us off before we've fed some casters into the lake. Fished on the bottom. Sorry, just reading my rig then. Fished on the bottom with my 0.4 carbon rig over my casters, and caught a few little skimmers, but I was getting loads of indications that were shallow, and then I guessed the opposite, went in shallow and caught a couple. First put in shallow on like a 2 foot deep rig, and I had a nice big fantail, and then after that it was just like line bite galore at 2 foot, come shallower and shallower. Caught a couple of skimmers, tried changing to a jigger, and I've got a lighter rig out and put double caster on, and all those line bites seemed to stop, and then I'd get like a 2 inch long little roach or ruddy thing. So I've just sat that off, and I've just dropped back in on the deck, and I'm just fighting that wind now. So we're an hour in, and I've only got a mere 8 pound, which has mainly been skimmers. So I'm just trying to work out what's best, is in feeding a bit more bait and trying to catch them on the bottom like I had been doing. Because I certainly can't catch anything shallow at the minute, but that wind is being awkward to try and feed that long line. I don't really want to pot it because we're not going to get enough bait in, and try and drag those fish into my peg. But it doesn't seem to be fishing overly well at the minute. Casters were short then. There we go, caught an F1 on the bottom, which is good. No silly line bites that time and no swirls. The only trouble is I can't see the best peg in the country to my right, so I don't know what's going on there. Is it going to be one of those days today? That one was definitely in the mouth. My worm was just wrapped over it slightly, so we'll just go in again. Just going to move these pellets about a little bit as well, because I don't want them drying out too much. I'm going to go back to feeding more casters less regularly to try and catch them on the bottom. So when the wind stops, there are some bubbles. So there are some fish on the deck there. Just hold on to my pole at that. Guess the opposite, so it's the best that I can see, but I can't see what we're doing to my right, and he's probably got £20, 15, £20 realistically. Just catching the odd skimmer shallow and the odd F1. Fire some more casters in. That's better, the wind's actually dropped. Skimmer on the end. We'll just try double caster on the hook, so just through that narrow end, that pointy end. 1 and 2, just sitting on that X1 up, lovely. And out we go again. Flicking her past, picking up my catty again. That's nice, that wind's dropped, I can actually feed me bait properly. Lovely lift bite that was. It's a little skimmer. A few casters again. Seem to get a quicker bite on a wormhead, so I'm just going to try that 0.2 rig. It's a slightly smaller worm. .2 rig with that shot in pattern that's going to fall through the water a bit slower. No. That's just on that lighter rig that I swapped to, which seemed to get a few more bites on that one. So just a different presentation when we're fishing on the bottom. It's only a little F1, but it's still the right species. Just falls through that water so much slower than that 0.4. So because the fishing is far from frantic, I thought we'd just talk through what we've got in relation to bait choice. So I've got 2 baits with me, well 3 if you include some worms for a hook, but some casters for fishing, say in the lake, up and down, long and short, and some fishery. Let's just do that as we're fishing. I need to mooch them about anyway. Some fishery 2mm pellets, the bluey greeny ones, and then just some greeny blue expanders in 6mm and 4mm to match, and then just a few worms, say just to fish on the bottom over me casters. And it's normally a case of, there we go, nice bait, nice bite even, nice bite. Normally a case of, I say, just chipping away, catch some long, hopefully they come shallow, but that isn't the case early doors. And then just work my way to a short line and then end up fishing close to us. But as I say, it's trying to keep your head and just keep plopping something in the net, because at some point you know those bigger F1s and carp are going to feed, and if you've just sat there short hoping for some carp to come in your peg and you haven't caught anything, you end up falling further and further behind. Just managed to finally hook what looks like an F1 here. So we've been fishing for 2 hours now and it's been painfully slow. Just the lake, from what I can see, seems really out of sorts. It doesn't seem to be fishing well at all, which is good that I'm not catching a lot, as in someone isn't clearing the match clean out and we're miles behind. I've got £22, say 2 hours in, just changing between, look what I'm doing netting wise, changing between a light rig, a 0.2 that I'm fishing through the water on the bottom at like 11, 12 metres, and a heavier rig when the wind gets up, a 0.4 with a ball command dropper. Changing between, why did I just watch that F1 then? Changing between a wormhead or double caster, that's a bit better F1. It's so lively when you do scoop them. And fishing dead depth, but the amount of times, say, it's fishing hard, and when you do eventually get one, he's absolutely nailed that bitter worm. So I'm just going to persevere with what I'm doing. Right then, rig wise, we'll just talk through a couple of shallow rigs because they're all duplicates in what we're doing. So we've got a multiple of dibber rigs, either, I'll just have the 1 inch shot for now so it doesn't get confusing, either a 0.2 or a 0.1 carbon dibber, set anywhere between 12 inches deep with an 18-inch lash to like 2 foot deep with an 18-inch lash. So I think here, especially, that long lash is really important, and keeping a tight line with a back shot about 4 inches away from the float itself. 018 soft steel mainline. On the 0.2 that's been best today, we've got 4 number 10s on the hook length knot itself, and then I've got 4 inches of 012 soft steel, a size 18 X5 hook, just with one of our super soft latex banders for banding casters, and as I say, they're set between 12 and 2 foot, and then exactly the same. All the difference is it's a 0.1. So if it's nice flat current conditions, fishing with a 0.1. If it's a bit movie all over the place, or I'm just holding my rig nice and still, that 0.2 has been the better one. So just a few options there in relation to shallow rigs. And then depth wise, long kits with red slicking. I can catch anything from like a 4 ounce skimmer to like a 10-pound carp on these, so nice balanced gear. Float wise, I've got 2 contrasting floats, try and get that in shot, but I'm doing that awfully. So a 0.2 for fishing through the water. I've got the luxury here today that it's the same depth on my short line as my long line, so only 2 rigs to do both of those scenarios. And then I've got a 0.4 for fishing more positively, or if it's towing through. So talking through the 0.2 first. So we've got that back shot in place as well, just so my rig's going to stay nice and still. And then shotting pattern wise, in the bottom third of the rig, I've got a 4 inch hook length again, and then every 4 inches or so I've got a number 10 shot, 5 number 10s strung through the water. So when that rig goes through the water, let's do it this way around, it's going to settle and hopefully catch one on the drop. And then hook length wise, 012 again, soft steel, a razor sharp X1 hook in a size 18 with like a worm head on or double caster's best. And then rig components are all the same on the 0.4, but the way we fish it is totally different. So we've got a nice big positive bulk there, 12 inches from the hook, 5 number 8 shot. And then on the hook length loop, we've just got 1 number 10 dropper. So that last part of the rig, I've still got some sort of fall. So when they're sitting like that far off the bottom, the important bit is still right. And then hook length is exactly the same, one of those razor sharp X1 hooks in a size 18 to 012. And then that is about as complex as it gets rig-wise. So we've been fishing for what, 2 hours and 15 minutes now, because I've got my timings wrong. It's quarter past 10, quarter past 3 we're fishing. So I've been feeding this short line with casters for about half an hour now. I dropped on it, had a couple of F1s, found it's a great big carp that fell off, which really pleased me. And I'm just fishing that light rig and catching, oh, try not to drop it back in. Just started to have a little run of bites finally. Just fishing, so worm head again, like we were on that long line. So the same depth as what it is long as it is short, which is handy. Love a multi-rig. And then just flicking that wormhead past, picking up some casters and flicking them through, and probably, I'm not going to count them, but that many casters, just a nice little underarm motion. Just letting that rig fall through the water. And we got 31 pound on the clicker. So hopefully we can start and put a few bites together after, say, a really slow start. But they've bubbled up straight away on that short line, just like they did on that long line, because that bottom's soft. Got that float dotted down. So any little movement we'll be able to see. Little lift bite then. Just keeping an eye on what's going on. Most people have resorted to fishing either short or in the edge again. That shallow really hasn't gone again today, which is strange. Would have thought it'd be perfect for it. A few casters in again, just flicking that rig through. So I'm going to keep trickling a few in down by that edge as well. It's like 28 inches deep next to that bit of steel pylon. Might have spoke too soon in relation to some fish turning up there. There we go, mowing that one like a treat. A few casters in the lake. Pole onto me little grip section. Is this a skimmer this time? No, smallest F1 in the lake. Little baby one. Just nailed that wormhead. Just positioning that worm in where it wants to be, as in it just rid up the line slightly. And we just pull back together, flicking that rig out again. A few casters in again. I'm just going to drop a few just on that edge line as well. Right next to that camera there. Just going to try double caster on the hook, because that's normally a good change. A couple of dark ones right through that thin end there. There's one. And two, like so. Flicking that rig in again. A few casters. Itchy chin. Just letting that rig fall through the water. There we go, nice little dink. Golden one. Pretty little one.
Lovely.
It's been incredibly tricky this first half of the match, shall we say. Just been bouncing between long and short on my caster line. Dropped in shallow on an 18-inch rig on my short line. I've had this F1 first put in. but you can't seem to string any bites together. You have to like catch a fish and move, change like from a heavy rig to a light rig, change your hook bait, that sort of thing. And looking around the lake, as I say, from what I can see anyway, it's fishing difficult. And every time I feed some, oh, just caught up on the net. Every time I feed some casters into the lake, well, I say not every time, but you feed casters into the lake and the carp will spook from the feed. It's just really, really strange. They can go weird here after they're spawned, and say does seem to be the case so far today. One straight back in on that 18-inch rig, and we've hooked an F1 again, which is a good sign. But every time, as I say, you think you've sorted a few fish or a few bites out. Oh, that's a great big F1. They're the ones we want. Really long one he is. Lovely fish. I'm not going to hold him up. Net to net him. A 3-pounder. Just grabbing that towel, getting rid of that excess water on my hand. Grabbing a nice dark caster, threading that band over the caster. And then out we go again. Just flicking that rig out. A few casters in again. Just holding a tightish line on that 18-inch rig. Little dink then. Just going to feed again. Skimmer this time. Stole my caster as well. A few casters in again. That 18-inch 0.2 carbon dibber. Like a foot lash and just a number 10 back shot about 4 inches away from the float, just so I can hold tight to that rig. So they're definitely there. But I had this earlier, like a little run of bites into the lake shallow, and then just got pestered with little tiny fish. So if I keep missing loads of bites, I won't give it too long. I'll just try flicking that over. Just tension that elastic up, give us half a chance. The sun's decided to come out. Guessed he's just had a carp on his short line opposite. There we go. A few casters again. All that grey cloud's gone all together now, isn't it? Totally different day. F1 in the net. Swallowed that one. I'm just plopping him in, making sure we get rid of that slime. A few casters again, like so. And out we go on that short shallow line. So we've been fishing for 3 hours now, and I say you've probably heard me moaning for the first 2.5 hours. It's been extremely tricky, just ticking away between a long line on the deck and a short line on the deck. And then about half an hour ago, I've just started to get a few bites, short, shallow. Nothing frantic, but we're up to, if I've clicked right, 47 pound. Guess the opposite has started to catch the odd one in the edge. So I'm just keeping an eye on what's going on over there. But we're just concentrating on this short line at the minute. Just flicking a few casters in under the cameraman's feet and just going to persevere on this short line and hopefully string a few fish together. Just fishing 18 inches deep, a 0.2 carbon dibber, 018 soft steel main line with an 18 X5 to 012 just with a super soft latex band and a nice longish lash. It is windy, so I've got some 0.1 set up as well, but that 0.2 is just sitting better there. And it's not slapping your rig over and moving its loads, it's pretty much just suspending it, giving it the odd little jig movement. Right then, we've got just over 90 minutes left of the match. Finally started to, put a few fish in the net, cast a shallow out my hand, a mixture of F1s and skimmers. Just fishing that fixed rig, 18 inches deep, with that longer lash. It's been nice. That takes us up to 60 pound if my clicking's right, and from what I can see, everyone's fishing. Oh, let's try and unknuckle the fish as well. Has he already done it for us? Yeah, he has. That's very polite of him. Yeah, from what I can see, obviously you can't see anyone to our right, but that seems there or thereabouts. So I'm going to feed my edge, I think. Let's just find a nice caster. I'm going to feed my edge with an hour to go. I have been feeding, because I've only got, say, a top kit either side. I've been feeding a few casters just down to my left underneath the cameraman's feet, but we're just going to plod along on this shallow line because I say there are fish there to be caught, and I'm not going to at this point feed my top kit line for a carp. The only other line I'm going to feed, I say, is going to be in my edge where I've got 28 inches with a carp rig on, just that last hour, because you can see them when they come in the peg normally, and if you can just drop on and have a quick run a carp, it'll take you over the line. But as you see so many people, it's like, I don't know, 90 minutes to go, regardless if I'm catching or not, I'm going to come off these feeding fish and I'm going to sit down the edge, and you sit down there and end up catching nothing. So I will feed it, but if I'm carrying on catching a fish or chuck and I don't see any signs of fish in my edge, there is zero need to go and have a sit down there for a better stamp, especially with how hard it's fished so far today. It's a little left one. A nice quick bite. That one's unhooked itself as well. I've had quite a few today that have actually spat the hook as we're playing them, so they are, you get that at certain times, don't you, when they're not having it properly. But just fishing that razor sharp 18 X5 just with an 012 up length. Just wait for Mr. Duck to move. Better click as we go along. He was only a pound. Just keeping a nice tight line to that float, just that number 10 back shot, and just feeding some casters over the top of it. Just a few casters under the camera as well, just as a bit of a throwaway line. little dink then. So I'm not moving my float and making loads of noise. So say later in the year, when they're having it properly shallow, like jigging that fixed rig up and down can be really good, but I found when they're not really having it properly shallow, just suspending it there, just feeding over the top of it has been best. But as I say, we'll mix it up throughout the day. That's the first time that I've missed quite a few bites. So I've missed 2 bites in quick succession there. Just felt one on my line then because I've got a tight line to it. Try a deeper lighter one. Looking at the time, and my float's popped down. There we go. Just drop that little bit deeper and straight away into a fish there. So just because it has gone like an absolute mill pond, I've just gone a 0.1 in 2 foot there. Back into a fish straight away, which is good. I'm not pulling his head off because I say I've pulled out of quite a few that have been in the mouth at the net today, so I'll just let him plod along, and when he's ready, scoop him up. Jumping skimmer. Plop him into the net. And then still got that longish lash. Going out, not disturbing Mr. and Mr. Duck. Flicking that caster in. Mr. Duck wanted to eat that then. A few casters in again. A few casters down the edge. There we go, nice tight line, that was nice. Just as he settled, snatch the pole. And we're back into F1. Just going to take, these are like 2 weeks old casters, so there's just the odd 10 or so floaters on there. I have to put the shades on. There we go. Nice F1. A few casters in again. And again, that one spat the hook in the net that time. So these young ducklings have got absolutely no fear, and they're being an absolute nightmare, to be fair. Just unsettling the F1s when they're diving. So if I don't feed the dive, if I feed, they're just trying to eat my float continuously. It's just a case of trying to persevere with them. So when those 2 adult male ducks were in the peg, it was lovely. They were sensible. They just eat the ones that are just mooching about. But these things, diving again, stupid ducks. And it's set, definitely, the rig's just tangled around there. Definitely unsettling them. Just dropped on that 18-inch rig again. Gonna make me swear, little ducklings. Nice F1 again. plop him in. My days. I'm trying to feed more regularly to stop them bloody diving, because you see them, if you don't feed, they just dive continuously. There we go, F1 again. Could get away with a shorter lash rig as well, to be fair now. Oh, that's a nice F1. Just letting him plod round. A few casters again. Oh, hopefully Mummy and Daddy Duck are going to bully those babies out. There we go, nice golden one. They're the ones we want. He walloped that down his throat as well. Plop him in. And before we go at that time, because I say I'm just topping that edge up every 15 minutes or so. Like half a big pot of fishery micros. There we go. A few casters again. A few clicks on the clicker. It's gone a little bit funny on us in general. Strange. There we go. Might be a carp. That might have been why it's took 5 minutes to catch one, because it seems when carp comes in your peg, just unsettles those F1s. Just make sure those top kits aren't going to fall away from me. So what would you do at this stage? So we've got 20 minutes left of the match, still catching shallow, but you can see there's a clear sign of carp in your edge. Would you have a little drop in there, or would you carry on in your shallow line? I think just more out of curiosity, I will have a drop in the edge just to see if we can catch a great big one for the camera. And so those ducks aren't doing me head in as much. Sorry? Yeah, lovely little fat one, yeah. Try not to catch a duck. We've got 10 minutes left of the match. I've got £114 on the clicker, and we've got an F1 on. So I was hoping we could have dropped in the edge for glory, but I'm not blaming the cameraman, but the camera is right there, and when he stood over it, he's just seemed to unsettle those carp, which is a shame. But we'll just plod along and see if we can avoid catching the duckling and catch a few more of these beautiful chunky F1 shallow and casters. So that 0.2 rig has been loads better with that bit of wind and the rig towing through a little bit. And I've just got, say, for 0.1s and 0.2s set up from 12 inches with 12 to 18 inch lash, just with a back shot, down to like 2.5 foot, and some jigger rigs as well. Need to click that last one. Nice little dink on the float there. Angry F1 on. Just feeding a few casters as we play that one. Letting the red slick do its work. Keeping the pole nice and low. And just a few casters in again. Just prepping ready for that next one. Is that a ghosty F1 this time? Trying to swim under my nets. So they've all put up a good account for themselves today. Yeah, nice big F1. Ghosty one. Give me a little shower on the way through. Oh yeah, lovely fish he is. So just because we're playing him for a bit of time, a few casters again. Nice scoop. £3 ghosty F1 in the net, lovely job. It's going to be a disgorger job for him as well. Proper suck that caster in. There we go, caster's intact. Can't get it out of my disgorger now though. There we go. F1 into the keep net. And then just repeating at that. So rig out onto, so we're fishing short kit, number 3 and number 4, and then just varying between holding like the number 5 and halfway along the number 5. Nice quick bite there. I don't know if that one's in the mouth, to be fair. Just the way it swam off. Just bringing it back to a top kit, keeping it nice and low. A few casters again, and just click that last one. 1, 2, 3. Oh, ghosty F1 again. They always fight so much harder, the ghosty ones. Oh, I tried for a deep water scoop. I haven't caught a ghosty one all day. And then hooked 2 in 2 pots. It's going absolutely mental. A few casters in again. Oh my God, that was a shocking bit of netting. There we go, finally. It's not even that big. So a few casters in again. There we go. I think that'll be the last one of the match. But we will feed, just see if we can get one more after this. Fish on! So that brings us to the end of the little midweek open match on Front Deans. Just try and net this F1. So every single one, just don't know when to give up when you're catching them shallow. The ones on the bottom like seem to behave themselves, but the shallow ones, so that sums it up. So that one fell off. What have we ended up with? We've ended up with, if I've clicked right, £122. I I thought about 100 to 120 pounds to win the match. From what I've seen, it's fished hard, but I can't see anyone up to my right on this bank. And I say 21 is the best peg on the complex, and Dobbsy's been up there. So do the weigh-in and see what we've ended up with. Right then, round-up time. We've been on, say, peg 30 on front deans. A little bit disappointed when I drew there this morning, so I had that peg a few weeks ago, and it was a case of catching some on the bottom that day, and then my match fell apart when it comes to short fishing, but that hasn't been the case today. It's been a really slow start from what I could see around the lake. That short top kit line for like that bonus carp never really started us off where we should have. So shipped into the lake, caught some little skimmers and some bits and bobs. Couldn't catch any shallow into the lake. I've chipped away. I've probably got 2.5 hours in, 40 pounds, shall we say. And then I've dropped on my short line that I fed. I think that was with, yeah, about halfway through, shall we say. Caught a few short on the bottom. The odd carp was swirling, but not swirling like the feeding, just swirling like spooky swirling. So I've gone shallow, 2 foot deep, the 0.1 dibber, and first putting I've had one. I thought, oh, very nice. 2 adult ducks there, lovely. Ticked away between like 12 inches deep and 2 foot deep. 0.2 dibber best in this swirling wind. And then some little darling ducklings have come, and they've been a right nuisance, to be fair. It's affected the fishing, but not enough to stop us catching. I've caught between, I say, 12 inches and 24 inches deep, 0.2 dibber. F1's a various size, and the odd skimmer as well. Carp just sucking the bank behind me then. I wondered what that was. I thought it was some water creature coming to bite me. Yeah, and carried on fishing shallow up until the final whistle. I did feed me edge. It is like a parrot cage there. I've just got a short edge. With about half an hour to go, they started ripping the bottom up. But with the nature of the peg and where the cameras are, they just didn't seem to settle there. So just carried on plodding along shallow. I clicked 122 pound and weighed 119 pounds, 10 ounces, which was enough to win the match. I said 120 pound before the start of the match, so that was a nice target weight and what I achieved. After me, it was only 60 pounds from peg 14, I believe. So it has fished hard. Since they've spawned, it has been tricky fishing, so nice to catch them shallow, and hopefully it's come out all right on camera, say that technical fishing on the bottom, changing rigs and then catching some when they want to feed later on in the session.